What's up guys, Phantom here back with episode 74 of my F1 2019 career mode as we are going to Silverstone for the British Grand Prix for round 10 of season 4 here. As you can see, we have a failure on our ultimate upgrade for drag here. As since this is Silverstone, that's going to hurt very much there, as much of the track is flat out there, so that would help us out very much as McLaren pulls away even more with their car as we are trying to chase them down. As you can see, we will have to repurchase that as we go to qualifying.
Here we are then, waiting for the green lights to get qualifying underway for the British Grand Prix. And I'm here, of course, with Anthony Davidson on what has turned out to be a very pleasant day indeed. No weather to interfere, no problems on the track, so absolutely no room for error.
That's right, Crofty. It's looking good out there at the moment. Each team will have their own game plan for this session, and of course, once the cars leave the garage, they'll be under parc fermé conditions, so any last-minute adjustments need to be done right here and now. Beyond that, it's all up to the driver. Who can keep their tyres in the right temperature? Who can hit their apexes? No race fuel on board these days, of course. These are the fastest cars we've had in a long, long time, and it's right here in qualifying where they're at their absolute peak. Let's get started.
As we start out here in the club section of the track here to start our flying lap of Q2 here, as we will come across the line as Raikkonen is right behind us here, as we've just managed to keep it over the line just before the time ran out here as we come to the end of the lap here, as we went a little bit wide there, as this is pretty much the most annoying section of the track as we come across the line for P4, as our teammate Ricardo is in 11th and barely missed out on the top 10 here, as we will move on to Q3 here as we come once again through this section, as we are going to cut it close to the time again as we come across with about 5 seconds left in the session, as we will absolutely just murder turn 1 here as we come through that little S section, as we hit the curb nicely this time, as we take a good amount of curb there on the right hander, go through the bend as we will come across the line, and we will be on pole position ahead of Norris surprisingly, and Leclerc's only in third, so the dominant car is only in third place as we will move on to the race.
The pain of parting is nothing to the joy of meeting again. And how joyous indeed it is to be back at Silverstone once more for the British Grand Prix. The queues to get in this morning extended miles back down the A43, such is the enthusiasm for Formula One in this country. The 3.6 miles of the Silverstone circuit in Great Britain is hallowed ground to the Formula One faithful. We have 18 corners that wrap around this former World War II airbase, and some good passing opportunities at the end of the DRS zones. Alongside me once again for coverage of today's race, it's none other than the great Anthony Davidson. Should we kick off our conversation with George Russell? Looks like they've got a tough race in store today, as grid penalties from changing power unit components has forced them further down the field.
But on the bright side, at least those fresh components can help them maintain the power they need to come through the pack. I expect to see them take a more aggressive approach today to make up for the compromised start.
Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Oldtimer lines up on pole position, edging out Lando Norris, who'll start from P2. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Leclerc, Vettel, Max Verstappen, and Hamilton, Bottas, Kvyat, Perez, and Lance Stroll, Ricciardo, Grosjean, Kimi Raikkonen, and Faber, Butler, Albon, Kevin Magnussen, and Carlos Sainz. Hulkenberg and George Russell ends our grid lineup, and with preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track.
As we sit here on the grid in P1 after a great qualifying performance, the fly lights are on and they are finally out as we get a okay start here on Norris there, as it looks like Leclerc got a pretty good jump there, but Norris is able to cover him off and will be in second place here as we come through the infield section here. As we come out of this corner, we are still, if you look down the bottom right, we are still in lean. I've completely forgotten that I'm still in lean, as Norris will get a run on us as I finally figure out that we were in lean there, as we heavily defend here to the inside. As we come on to lap 3, Leclerc has easily dispatched Norris here, as he's in the best car and he's a very talented driver here, as he's coming around the outside here, as we're going to throw it up the inside, as he kind of just squeezed us there, like even before we got to the apex, as he really didn't give us any room there, as we have to get back to him very quickly or he will just launch off into the distance here, as we will go down the inside of Leclerc here, as we barely, even with the DRS, were able to catch him. As it looks like on lap 5 here, we may get away from them, as we are better in the second half of the lap there. They are just monstrous in this first half here. As you can see, it's not happening here, as we kind of cut him off there, as I kind of felt like he didn't have the angle or enough of a run there to justify leaving him space there. As we are coming on to lap 6, onto the old front stretch here, as we are going to go defensive here, as we're going to make him try to go around the outside, which is never going to happen here. But we get on the curb and we lose the back end, as we can, and then he almost tried to freaking pit remove us there, as he kind of just tagged our rear end, as we kind of almost lost the back end there. But he is right behind us here, as he normally can't get this close to us, because we are absolutely monstrous in the second half of this course here. As he looks around the outside, he will not be able to make the move stick, as we are right now defending for our lives here, as if we want any chance of the championship. We are a good 80 points back halfway through the season here, as Norris and Leclerc is just on us. They are just hounding us the entire time. We cannot breathe here. As we come on to lap 8 here, we will finally get a second to breathe here, at least from Leclerc here, who is coming into the pits with us, as we make sure not to speed into the longest pit of the track, the circuit here of the calendar, as it is a very, very slow pit lane here, as our teammates coming in, as we finally have made it in. I could have had a stake how long it takes to get here, as we crucially get back ahead of Leclerc there, as we do not get jumped in the pits, as we have to make sure we do not get overcut by Norris here, as it looks like as he comes out, he's coming out on hard tires, as well as it looks like his team has made an absolute calamity of the pit strategy, as we come here on to lap 10 actually, as it looks like we kind of just chopped him off there. But as you will see on the replay, as we come out, he really never got to the inside of us. He kind of more or less followed us, and he just ran into the back of us, as I feel like he had plenty of time to make his decision. As you can see now on lap 10, we are a lap short on fuel, as we desperately need an out to save on fuel, or we will run out here, as we can save about 0.4 per lap in lean and standard, as Leclerc will make a run on us here on the straight here, as we will force him out. We were definitely more forceful this time than we were early in the race, as Hulkenberg will go into the pits, and we get our first warning of the session, the race here, as we go a little bit wide there and we don't get a very good exit, as Leclerc will look to the inside of us, as he is very narrow there, as we are going to sweep around the outside. We kind of just exploited the AI there, as he was never ever going to make that corner at that angle with any type of speed there, as we kind of just chopped across him. As we come onto the last lap of the Grand Prix, something very similar is going to happen here, as we're going to go and force him to the inside there, as he kind of just, for some reason, like, it's just, I don't know what the AI do, like, he was always going to get chopped across there. As you can see there, Norris is off the pace and he is out of the session. So Norris, who's been hounding Leclerc the last half lap here as Leclerc's locked up as he comes into Luffield. He has blown an engine, so I think that would be his second podium of the season, but now he's gonna finish in dead last as it drained the last lap here. As you can see, a little bit of sprinkles here, but we will come home to take our first win of the season and cut into Leclerc's lead.
Nice work, that's P1. Race win, well done.
Brilliant stuff from Renault today. What a superb victory. Anthony Davidson, what helped them deliver this result, do you think?
Well, this was a real team victory. They put together a solid strategy today that appeared well suited to the conditions out on track. The driver did everything that was expected of them in the moment to really execute the team's plan to perfection. A shining example of how F1 really is a team sport.
As today's winners make their way up the podium steps, the team at Renault have shown once again what it takes to build a successful Formula One team. A well-deserved win for them. So, let's review the drivers' standings. Charles Leclerc, currently leading the championship standings, extends his lead even further with this result. Some amazing talent out on the track today, but Anthony, who would you pick as your driver of the day?
Carlos Sainz certainly wasn't someone to scoff about. His ability to follow race strategies throughout with pinpoint precision has to be commended.
Let's move on to the constructors. McLaren continue to increase their gap at the top. Meanwhile, Renault move up the table with another strong performance this weekend. I'm equal parts exhausted and elated with this weekend of Formula One. Be sure to join us for the next one.